So this is the STUDIOLIVE 2442 mixer. It's a digital mixer. It's completely digital throughout, but it's designed to be very simple to learn, very easy to operate, and sounds great. So let's have a look at how the operation of the mixer works. At the top here we have our gain controls. We have 24 X max preamps, very high quality preamps, really good signal to noise ratio, very clear. So these are analog knobs, analog gains. It's the only analog component in the desk. Everything else from this point on is digital. Below those we have 48 volt phantom power per channel. That's not automatable deliberately because we don't want those to go on by accident. Everything else is fully automatable. Below that you can see we have a button here on each channel for FireWire input. The desk has a full Fire Studio interface built inside. There's a 32 channel Fire Studio in here. So each channel can either be fed by the analog preamps in this mode, or if I press the FireWire button, they take their input from the FireWire channel coming back from a computer that's connected. So you can just connect a computer with a FireWire cable, plug it straight in, it's a full interface. Below that we have some auxiliaries, we'll come to those later. And then this large blue panel here is the FAT channel, the Frequency Adaptive Transform channel, FAT channel. And this FAT channel is available for every single channel inside the desk. Not just the standard input channels, but also every other channel. We'll come back to that. Down here we have our typical solo and mute buttons that we're used to, and faders. They're non-motorized faders, they're not dual purpose. It works like a standard analog desk. So if this fader is my kick drum, for example, that will always just be the kick drum. It doesn't do any other purpose. Everything is single purpose. There's no shift buttons, there's no weird cursor commands, anything like that. So how do we work with the channel? Well, here we have, on each channel we have select buttons, these blue buttons. So we can easily select a channel. So let's select channel 1, for example. If I select channel 1, this FAT channel becomes active for channel 1. All right. And these meters become meters, not just for the 24 input channels, they become meters for this particular channel. So each of these knobs on the FAT channel is controlling a part of channel 1. So here we have this becomes a high pass filter knob. And you'll see here these are the frequencies for the high pass filter. So it's very easy to see what you're doing with the high pass filter. You don't have to go over to this LCD display or anything like that. It's right here in front of you. Then here we have a module that's a gate. So we have our gate threshold, our gate range, and attack and release times on the gate. So it's a full, and there's even a key filter. So we can filter that key listen if you want to. Turn that on if you want to. Turn the gate on like that. And as soon as we turn the gate on, you'll see the gain reductions coming in over there. And we can have it either as a full gate or as an expander. And you'll see the difference there. When I turn it into gate mode, then I can change the range. Coming on past the gate, we've got a compressor section. I can turn the compressor on there. And again, here's my threshold for the compressor. Here's my ratio for the compressor. 1 to 1, 2 to 1, 3 to 1, 7 to 1, so on. Attack and release times, and makeup gain. I can also make that a soft knee compressor, or I can just have auto attack and release coming in, which I usually do practically. Makes it easy. Very good compressor, and on that channel as well. Then here we have a limiter, and the limiter is also, we can set the level in that limiting. And post the limiter we have an equalizer. It's a 4-band fully parametric EQ. I can bypass the EQ with this button, or I can turn on each individual band with these buttons. The high and low can be shelving or normal peak EQs. And then I have my gain here, my frequency is here, and my Q is here. So I have 4 fully parametric EQs. So on every channel I've got a high pass filter, I've got a full gate expander, I've got a compressor, I've got a limiter, and 4 fully parametric EQs on every individual channel. So everywhere there's a blue select button, there's a FAT channel. So if I select channel 2, there's a FAT channel for channel 2, there's a FAT channel for channel 3, 5 and 6, 7, 8, and so on. What's really interesting is that I have fat channels for the other functions. So I've got 4 subgroups here, but each of those subgroups also has a fat channel. And that means that in subgroup 1, for example, I can also have a gate, compressor, limiter, and EQ, also in that subgroup. So everything has a fat channel. The auxiliary sends, they've got select buttons. Each auxiliary send has its own fat channel. So I've got a 4-band parametric on every one of my auxiliary sends. On my effects buses, even on my master bus, everywhere this blue button is, there's a fat channel. So what that means is we have gates, compressors, limiters, EQs for all of these channels. So it's 24 input channels plus 4 subgroups is 28, plus another 10 auxiliary sends is 38, plus another couple of effects is 40, plus the master bus. We're talking over 40 gates, over 40 compressors, limiters, and equalizers built into the desk, which is probably enough for most people. It's a lot of stuff. So that means this whole 40 gates and EQs built into the desk itself and compressors. So you can run them all at once. There's enough DSP power to run all of the compressors and gates and EQs on all of the channels simultaneously, and without affecting the sound quality. Sound quality is excellent. The internal processing's 32-bit floating point, so you'll really have a very, very clear, very pristine sound. All right, let's go through the rest of the desk a little bit more here. If I select channel 1, this is my panner, so I can pan left and right in channel 1. Okay, easy enough to do. But if I want to turn channels into stereo, I can just link them in stereo. So, for example, if I pick channel 11 here, it's in mono right now. Here's my mono panning. But I want to link this with channel 12. I just press stereo link, and now I've got 11 and 12 as a stereo pair. And when I have a stereo pair, this becomes a stereo width control. So, because sometimes I don't want my stereo to be completely left and right. Sometimes I just want to fill part of the sound spectrum. If I'm doing a mix. Very important. For each channel, I also have channel presets. So, for example, if I pick channel 11 here, and I want to load a preset, I just pick channel load. And as soon as I do that, my LCD screen shows me my presets. So here I've got 100 different presets that I can write my own presets onto this, but there's 50 built in. So there's different kicks, snares, toms, bass, whatever. Say I want channel 11 to be electric bass. I just select electric bass, push recall, and now automatically it's set up. So it turns on the compressor, the limiter, and turns on the EQ for the low, mid, and the bass channel. If I wanted that to be maybe a guitar rock, I just press recall, and now it turns into a guitar channel. So I've got compression, I've got 4-band parametric EQ, I've got shelving, high and low there. It just works. So I can very, very easily recall presets. That's really handy if I'm doing a festival or whatever. Maybe I've got a band's only got a 5-minute line check. I don't have time to spend 2 hours getting the guitar sound right. Sometimes I just want to be able to just pull up the guitar sound and get it working and have it working right there. So it makes it very easy with these channel presets. To assign things to the subgroups is very easy. I just have my assignments here. So if I want channel 11 to go to subgroup 1, I just press subgroup 1 and it works. If I want to take it out of the mains, I can just take it out of the mains like that, and now it'll just go to that subgroup. Or I can have it in both, whichever way I want to do it. So very easy assignments. Subgroups also have up to 500 milliseconds delay on each subgroup. So if you're doing a big outdoor gig and you've got delay towers, you can operate your delay towers directly off the subgroups. So auxiliary sends, we have 10 auxiliary sends, which is a lot of auxiliary sends. Very easy to operate. If I want to send something to aux1, I just press the mix button for aux1. And now each one of these knobs becomes a send for that channel to auxiliary 1. So if I want to send channel 1 to auxiliary 1, I just turn this one up. Channel 1 to auxiliary 1. That's channel 2 to auxiliary 1, channel 3 to auxiliary 1, channel 4 to auxiliary 1, and so on. So it's very easy to set up my auxiliary mix. Again, auxiliaries can go in stereo. I can link these in stereo. So if I just select channel 1 or auxiliary 1, go to stereo, I've now linked auxiliary 1 and 2 in stereo. Now, if you're just using normal stage monitors, you probably don't need that. But for some bands who use in-ear monitoring, they really like to have stereo in the in-ears. And you've got 10 auxiliary sounds, so it's no problem to put 2 or 3 of them into stereo. So as soon as I put them into stereo, this becomes my send control as before, and this one becomes a pan control for the stereo in ears. So I can say I want that one to go left or that one to go right, and so on. So I can set my mixes up in stereo on the auxiliaries. I also have, as well as the 10 auxiliary sounds, I have 2 more auxiliary buses, and these go to the internal effects. We have 2 very high quality internal multi effects, and those are on their own buses. So we actually have 12 auxiliaries effectively, really. Effects A and effects B, same thing. If I want to send to effects A, just click mix in effect A, and I can set up my mix into the reverb. And over here, I can see what those effects are. So on effects A at the moment, I've got a natural ambience. I can just go say, I want Studio A sound there, hit recall, and now I've got a small room on effects A. Usually on effects B, I'll probably put a delay in there. So let's roll up here and get a delay, ping pong, quick ping pong delay, hit recall, and now I've got a ping pong delay on effects channel B. I can even tap the delay on the ping pong just using this tap button here. Very easy to do. I can monitor my inputs for this. I can monitor my outputs, post my gain. I can monitor my gain reduction. So on metering, I can press this input button, and that will meter my inputs. You can see I've got some tracks running at the moment. So that will meter what's coming in to my gains. If I set meter output, it will meter what's happening post my faders. So I can see what's happening there as I mix it. If I put in gain reduction, it will meter whatever gains I've got in there. So I don't have any gains at the moment. Let's add some tracks. Let's load the kick drum into channel 1. All right, let's kick drum in channel 1. Let's take channel 2 and we'll make that snare drum, maybe. Okay, channel 2 is a snare drum. 3 and 4, let's make that tom-toms. Okay, let's put tom-toms on 3 and 4. 5 and 6, maybe that's our overhead, so I'll have overhead rock. Okay, recall that. 7 and 8, yeah, let's have percussion in there maybe. So I've got some percussion. Let's look through, yeah, congas, that'll do. Okay, so now we've got some of that in there. Maybe 9 is my bass guitar. I'll make that electric bass, and so on. So now I've already set, you can see I've set these channels up. I've very, very quickly set up all my drums and my bass guitar. I hit gain reduction, you'll see I've got gates running here and compression running on those drums. So with one metering I can get an overview of all the compression that's happening on the whole mix. You can see the percussions being gated there. What else have I got? 2-track in, we get 2-track inputs. That can also come off the firewire bus. Talkback can be sent to the auxiliary 1 and 2, or 3 and 4, 3 to 6, or 7 to 8, or on the main buses. Graphic EQ, I have 8 31-band graphic EQs, and I can use this display again as a graphic EQ display. So now this becomes my graphic EQ for 20 Hz. Right. That's my gain on the 20 Hz band. That's my gain on the 25 Hz band. That's my gain on the 32 Hz band, and so on. So I can set up a graphic EQ just like this. So depending on what way you want to do it. And we have 8 of those that are freely assignable. So I can assign those to the main mix bus, or I can put a graphic EQ on the subgroups, or I can put it in any of the auxiliary sounds. So very useful if you're doing stage monitors when the auxiliary sounds. So you can just throw a graphic EQ across any auxiliary that's giving you problems. Or you can just use the fat channel to have a 4-band parametric on those auxiliary sounds as well. So you've got the choice to do that. And yeah, that's really about it. For recording, it's an amazing desk for recording because it has a 32-channel digital audio interface inside. Normally, each channel is just recorded directly coming from the gains. So anything that's going into these channels goes directly to your recording bus. Just 24-bit, 48 kilohertz, 44 kilohertz, straight into your digital audio workstation, Studio One or Cubase or Logic, whatever you use. Or you can have it post EQ and dynamics. So I can select this channel and say I want this channel to be recorded post EQ and dynamics. So if I've got a really good kick drum sound set up there with my EQ and so on, I can record that channel with my EQ with the compression on it. Or if I just want the clean sound that's coming straight in the desk, I just turn that off and I get it straight from the gain before it goes through here. So you can choose whichever way you like to record. And yeah, it's a wonderful desk. Incredibly good quality, like I said before. It's very clean, it's very transparent. It's incredibly easy to use. Even with just this 10-minute, 15-minute overview, you can probably sit down and do it as a gig right now, or work in the studio. I use it both for live and I use it in the studio. For both purposes, it's excellent. It's a great studio recording desk because it's very easy to operate and very clean and very clear. And it's a great live desk because it just works. Everything is directly in front of your hands. 10 minutes work, you can be mixing a live gig. That's the STUDIOLIVE 2442.